have you back. I'm Alejandra Marin, and today we will talk about the promotional plan. More specifically, I will explain the steps in the creation of a promotional plan. Let's get into the topic. We have talked about traditional promotional tools marketers use to deliver messages to their customers. Now we need to see how to make it all happen. That is how we go about the complex task of developing a promotional plan. Just as with any other strategic decision-making process, the development of this plan includes several steps. The first step involves identifying the target audience. Overall, this step is an important part of promotion planning. Additionally, marketers need to identify the different stakeholders who influence this target audience. For instance, parents influence children and vice versa. Friends influence other friends. Thus, it is important to understand who influence our target audiences. Step 2 is to establish the communication objectives. The whole point of communicating with customers and prospective customers is to let them know in a timely and affordable way that the organization has a product to meet their needs. In most cases, it takes a series of messages that move the consumer through several steps or a hierarchy of effects from initial awareness of a product to brand loyalty. The task of moving the consumer up the hierarchy becomes more difficult at each step. To understand how this process works, imagine how a firm will have to adjust its communication objectives as it tries to establish a presence in the market for Uomo, a new men's cologne. The first step in the hierarchy of effects is to make members of the target market aware that there is a new brand of cologne in the market. The promotion objective might be to create an 80% awareness of Uomo cologne among 18 to 24-year-old men in the first 2 months. To accomplish this, the company might use repetitive advertising. The second step is to inform the market. For those consumers who have heard the name Uomo but don't really know anything about it, the challenge is to provide knowledge about the benefits the new product has to offer, to position it relative to other colognes. The objective at this point might be to communicate the connection between Uomo and muscle building, for instance, so that 60% of the target market develops some interest in the product in the first 6 months of the communication program. Traditional promotional efforts at this stage are descriptive copies, brochures, PR, infomercial, personal selling, and the website. Third, create desire. The task of marketing communications is to create favorable feelings towards the product and to convince at least some members of this group that they would rather splash on some Uomo instead of other colognes. The specific objective might be to create positive attitudes toward Uomo cologne among 50% of the target market and brand preference among 30% of the target market. Here, the company can use status appeals or celebrity endorsements. Fourth, encourage purchase or trial. The company needs to get some of the men who have become interested in the cologne to try it. The specific objective now might be to encourage trial of Uomo among 25% of 18 to 24-year-old men. For instance, a promotion plan might encourage trial by mailing samples of Uomo to members of the target market. Most commonly, companies use samples, contests, coupons, and point of purchase displays. Finally, build loyalty. Loyalty means customers decide to stay with Uomo after they have gone through the first bottle. The objective might be to develop and maintain regular usage of Uomo cologne among 10% of men from 18 to 24 years old, promotion efforts must maintain ongoing communication with current users to reinforce the bond they feel with the product. The company can mail first users and create product placement advertising and other merchandise with the same concept. Step 3 is to determine and allocate the marketing communication budget. While setting a budget for marketing communication might sound easy, you just need to calculate how much you need to accomplish your objectives. However, in reality, it is not that simple. We need to make 3 distinct decisions to set a budget. First, determine the total promotion budget. Second, decide on a push or pull strategy, or perhaps both. And third, allocate the budget to a specific promotion mix. Most firms relied on 2 budgeting techniques, top-down and bottom-up. Top-down budgeting techniques require top management to establish the overall amount the organization allocates to promotion activities. The most common top-down technique to answer this question is percentage of sales method, in which the promotion budget is based on last year's sales or on estimates for the present year's sales. The percentage might be an industry average provided by trade associations that collect objective information on behalf of member companies. The advantage of this method is that it ties spending on promotion to sales and profits. Unfortunately, this method can imply that sales cost promotional spending rather than viewing sales as the outcome of promotional efforts. Another problem with top-down techniques is that budget decisions are based more on established practices rather than on promotion objectives. An alternative approach is bottom-up budgeting techniques, which identify the promotion goals the company attempts to achieve. Managers then define how much to allocate to promotional efforts to meet that goal. This bottom-up logic is at the heart of the objective task method, which is gaining in popularity. Using this approach, the firm first defines the specific communication goals it hopes to achieve, such as increasing by 20% the number of consumers who are aware of the brand. It then tries to figure out what kind of promotional efforts, how much advertising, sales promotion, buzz marketing, and so on, it will take to make the goal, and then define the budget. The second important aspect when deciding the budget of the promotional plan is to decide whether to use a push or pull approach, or maybe both. A push strategy means that the manufacturer wants to move its products by convincing channel members to offer them and entice their consumers to select these items. It pushes them through the channel. In contrast, a manufacturer that relies on a pull strategy is counting on consumers to demand its products. It directly communicates to consumers using an ad campaign, PR, or social viral marketing. This popularity will then convince channel members to contact the manufacturer and demand their products. In this case, media advertising and consumer sales promotions stimulate interest among end consumers who will pull the product onto stores' shelves and then into their shopping carts. Let's see some examples. When you find in a supermarket different free samples of foods you haven't heard before, this is an example of a push strategy. The manufacturer works with the distribution channel to have organized these free samples to push the product to final consumers. Other companies use a combination of both, push and pull. For instance, with white goods like refrigerators and electronic products like laptops and televisions, companies need a mix of both to make it work properly. On the one hand, it is important to have a fairly strong brand because when consumers are spending $1,000 or more, they want the assurance of a brand that they recognize. Thus, companies advertise products directly to consumers following a pull approach. On the other hand, these manufacturers need to make sure that they have good store position, that their products are well displayed at the retail level, that sales and product information are easily available, and that the store salesperson, who usually has a significant degree of influence, is being adequately rewarded for promoting and selling the manufacturer's product. This is a push strategy. Once the organization decides how much to spend on promotion and whether to use a push or pull strategy, it must divide its budget among the elements in the promotion mix. Although advertising used to get the lion's share of promotion budget, today sales promotion and digital marketing, such as buzz building and the use of digital, which we talked about earlier in this video, are playing a bigger role in marketing strategies, which leads us to the fourth step in the promotion plan. The promotion mix brings up step 4 in the promotional plan: design the promotion mix. Designing the promotion mix is the most complicated step in marketing communication planning. It includes determining the specific communication tools that will be used, what message is to be communicated, and the communication channels to be employed. You should choose the promotion mix depending on the objectives. However, the message should ideally accomplish 4 objectives, though a single message can rarely do all of this. It should get attention, hold interest, create desire, and produce action. These objectives are similar to the objectives we just discussed in the hierarchy of effects. The final step, step 5, is to evaluate the effectiveness of the communication program. Evaluating the effectiveness of the communication program has not been easy. There are many random factors in the marketing environment. However, nowadays, with the current tracking technologies in the smartphones, in web browsers, and other communication devices, companies have more control and access to consumers' response to their promotional efforts. Some examples of how marketers assess their communication programs are: advertising researchers measure brand awareness, recall of product benefits communicated through advertising, and even the image of the brand before and after an advertising campaign. The firm can analyze and compare the performance of salespeople in different territories, although again it is difficult to rule out other factors that make one salesperson more effective than other does. Public relations activities are more difficult to assess because their objectives relate more often to image building than sales volume. In summary, in this video I have talked about the steps in the creation of a promotional plan. As a marketer, you need to be creative without losing the message that you want to convey and the target you want to get. I hope you keep learning about promotion. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.